Hello everyone, good morning and welcome back to Total Football Talk. Thanks for joining me when we're going to look at all the latest news surrounding Manchester United and all the latest transfer news. And as always, there is bundles of news that just keeps rolling out of this club. So the top stories are we're going to look at Rubens Wage. Ruben has absolutely flipped his lid and gone in on the players, so we'll have a look at that. We'll have a look at Onana turning up to the training ground with his agent. What's that all about? Is there anything in that? We will look at the fact that Manchester United are looking at another goalkeeper. Antonio Semenyo from Bournemouth is back on the menu again. So we'll have a look at what's being said there. Rio Ferdinand's been talking, and he's a person who knows a little bit about the club. So we'll see what he's saying. And so they're all the top headlines. We'll dive straight in with the top one of Ruben Amorim and his rage. But just before I do, thank you everyone who's been joining me over the last God knows couple of months. It's been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. If you could hit the old subscribe button, bottom right hand corner of the screen, please tap it. Get your comments in below for anything that we talk about. Hit the old thumbs up and the likes, and that would be absolutely amazing. Helps me out so much. Thank you everyone. Okay guys, let's look at the top story, and this is kind of coming from Sully Talks, who is pretty close to Manchester United. Get some good news, and he said Ruben Amorim was fuming. It was his yesterday morning, and he cancelled a meeting and even agreed with kids. An emergency meeting which took place, where no player dared to speak. Ruben's message was clear. You have until the end of the season to fix up or shape out. Now, this isn't the first time that Ruben Amorim has had to lose his rag. He obviously did after a game. I can't remember which game it was now, where he ripped the TV off the wall in the dressing room, and he was absolutely furious with the players. And we've had some poor games, and everything rides on Thursday night. Thursday night is our only hope, and we are clinging on to the edge of that cliff with fingernails and threads of spools of rule. I mean, we are literally dangling, and we are about to fall off a cliff. And somehow he needs to try and find a way to bring these players back up to speed to rescue the season. But I'm not entirely sure how he does it. Losing Xerxes is a nightmare. We can't bring Cheeto Obi into the squad, at least to give him something else up front. So we are in a massive crisis, and that's essentially what it is, because Manchester United, the way we're going at the minute, we could end up 17th place, just one place off the relegation zone, and that is absolutely beyond horrific. And for me, this is on the players. The players are just, I actually think some of them are working hard. I just don't think many of them are good enough. And there will be a long list of players. We've talked about it before. A lot of players could potentially go in the summer. Some will go because their contracts are up, which is fine. But it's how do we sell on the players that are worth anything, worth a value, to bring in players that are worth a value to both the club and potentially, if we have to move them on down the line, that are worth value for money. So it's going to be a very crazy Thursday night. And I can't imagine the fallout if we don't go through. I dread to think what's actually going to happen. I can't look that far ahead. All I can do is pray on Thursday that we do the business. But yeah, so Ruben's obviously in rage mode. He's brought the players in. He's had a go at them. I think he's gone at them collectively as opposed to singling out every player individually. But I think we know a lot of these players, there's not many who get off the hook. Plenty of them are going to absolutely have to take this on the chin. And let's see how they come back fighting. Are they going to come back fighting? Or are they going to just sort of curl up into a little ball and disappear between now and the end of the season, just to get out the door? Let's see what happens on Thursday night. And talking about people and doors and sort of people leaving, there's talk because apparently Onana turned up to training yesterday with his agent, which isn't a kind of common theme. And just in, this is from Fabrizio Romano, there is activity and interest from the Saudi Pro Leagues for Andre Onana in this summer transfer window. Now, Onana has stated that if Ruben doesn't want him, he will leave. And from news that was coming through it was the United Standard heard this, and they've had a few little bits of snippet of information that have been pretty on the money, and they've said that Ruben Amorim isn't keen on Onana as a goalkeeper. Nice fella, likes him as a personality, but just has lost his way. I don't actually think he found his way, but will be gone in the summer, and maybe the Saudi Pro League, if he is going to be gone, maybe that's where he'll go, because they'll potentially pay a fee. We might not make money on him, but we may get a substantial amount of money to cover PSR and maybe break even on him, and and maybe we'll get rid of his wages, and maybe that'll allow us to bring in the goalkeeper, because my God, we need to. Okay, so this is, in terms of goalkeepers, this is another goalkeeper that we're being linked to, and this is Senne Lammens. Is one of the names that's internally being talked in the club as a replacement for Onana. Now, I don't know too much about this goalkeeper, so I'm not even going to go into it, but it does go to show that we are looking at goalkeepers at the minute, and we are keen to move Andre Onana on. He's just one of a long list of goalkeepers. I know we've looked at Luna from Real Madrid. We've looked at James Trafford from Burnley, who's having a very, very good season. We've also looked at Chavalele from Lille. So there is quite an extensive list of goalkeepers that Manchester United have looked at. Suzuki from Parma is another one. Will we actually bring in another goalkeeper of that ilk? I mean, it's going to be a difficult task for them. Whoever does come in, they're going to find this jersey very, very heavy, and they're going to have to. They'll probably struggle at the start, but Onana struggled, but he never really recovered from his struggles, and unfortunately, it's probably time for him to go. But what do you guys think? Onana gone, are you happy? Who would you like to see? If you have any suggestions, get them in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you good people are thinking. And just on Rubens Wage, do you think Ruben is right to lose the plot? Do you think he's got every right to go in and demand more from his players between now and the end of the season? Otherwise, so many of them could be gone. We already know the players that he's not talking about because they're not there, and that's Anthony and Rashford and Malacia. They're all out on loan. So obviously, these other players are not cutting the mustard either. So that's where we are with that. Now, in terms of Delap, which it's an ongoing story, our goalkeeper crisis situation, our striker crisis is a situation, and it's saying that from Gimme Sport and Fabrizio Romano that Liam Delap is the race is between Manchester United and Chelsea, even though Bundesliga teams are interested in him. Again, Delap. If we get Delap in, okay, fine. If we let Højlund go, what are we really swapping for? I'm not going to go into it. I've talked about it before on previous on previous streams. I just don't know, because we lose if it's like for like, and we don't bring in another striker. I think we're in trouble. I absolutely think we're in trouble. I just don't think we can cope with we need another striker. Cheeto needs to be brought through and brought in and nurtured. He doesn't need to be thrown into the firing line. He will be between now and the end of the season, so he will get some game time. He will play up front. He will get to see what the rest of the Premier League's like, I believe, because we need to keep Rasmus fit for the Champions League, or for the Champions League, I'm dreaming, for the Europa League. So we've got to really consider making sure that we don't lose Højlund between now and the end of the season, because it's unbearable to even think about. And I know Rasmus has not been good for a long time now, and as I said, I'm praying that the kid finds some kind of form between now and the end of the season to give us just that little bit of extra hope. But yeah, and then Ruben moves on to Ruben Amorim is very fond of Antonio Semenyo, but Bournemouth would like to see to sell him at an excess of 65 million euros, or 65 million pounds. Sorry, that is a deal that's too expensive. A lot of players at Manchester United being linked with. Cunha, 60 plus million. Semenyo, 60 plus million. All these players are very, very expensive. And I don't think he's worth that. He's had one good season in the Premier League. Delap's had one good season in the Premier League. They're not exactly Premier League proven in terms of over any length of time. And that does worry me, because, we could spend 65 million on Semenyo, and he could come in and he could do an Anthony. And even though he's got used to the league, he hasn't got used to Manchester United. And I just think for that amount of money, and I know it's not my money, but I just think the club if that was 40 million, yeah, you'd look at it. 65 million is 25 million too expensive for me personally, from my opinion. That's what I think. But very good player, and if he did come in, I'd back him. But we are just kind of living on borrowed time with transfers, because we've no idea what we're actually capable of doing, what we're actually going to do, when we're going to be able to do it, because we have to sell players first, and that means God knows how long we're going to have to wait in the transfer window to buy players. I believe that Cunha is a player that we're really keen on, but if we have to buy him in August, he won't be available in August because someone else has snapped him up. I mean, bang, we're in trouble again, because we we're picking up the scraps. But anyway, that's where we are with the scraps on that one. And this is what Rio Ferdinand had to say. Rio Ferdinand, the pressure is like no other club in the Premier League, and at Manchester United, there's big responsibilities on your shoulders given the history. It's become a burden for some of these players and not a privilege. Now, it should be a privilege to play for Manchester United. You should be able to hold your chest up. You should be able to stamp your authority on a game. You should be able to have the confidence that Manchester United want you. They bring you in. They want you to be part of what was a very successful club. Now, we aren't a very successful club in terms of our league position is horrific. Yes, we have won trophies recently, but not the major ones. We haven't even competed for them in a long time. So, yes, our success is of a certain sort of stretch, of certain, as I said, it's the FA Cups and the League Cups and, maybe the Europa League at this stage. They're not the top honours. We need to get back fighting for the top honours. And I'm starting to get concerned that we actually can't get back to that particular pantheon of teams that we're supposed to be in mixing with. I just don't know whether it's possible now to get there because Ruben's being given scraps and kids and he's a young manager learning on the job himself in some ways, dealing with a club the size of the monster that is Manchester United, being given players like Delap, who I'm not even sure, it has said that he has been keen on Delap before, but maybe as a developmental striker as opposed to the lead striker for Manchester United. So all this is a massive worry. Rio Ferdinand has it right in some ways here that, it shouldn't be a burden, it should be a privilege, but we have gone past that point. And I don't know if there is a return. So that's where we are with the news this morning. Thank you very much for joining me. As I said, please hit the old likes, get the likes up. If I get 10 on this video, it'd be absolutely magic. Thank you for sticking around to the end. If you have been, you're a legend. Massively, massively helps me out. And I will hit the old subscribe on the way out. Get your comments in below on anything that I've kind of mentioned this morning. Would love to hear from you. And I'll get back to you. And we'll leave it there. See you tomorrow, guys.